So, hopefully you had enough time to figure out the 2014 FRQ number 2. Okay? So, for part A, you need to find the volume of the region generated by R. Well, R looks like this. And your picture doesn't have to be perfect because you'll have a graphing calculator to work with. Okay? And you need to rotate this region around y equals -2, which is somewhere down here. Okay? If you were to rotate this region over y equals -2, it would look something like this. Now keep this in a dotted line because you don't want to draw big R or little r towards this side. It's always going to be drawn towards the actual function. Okay? What do you have when you draw a typical disk? What do you have here? Is this a disk or a washer?
Washer.
This is a washer. So you know that you're going to have a big R and you're going to have a little r. And since this is perpendicular to a horizontal line, you know that this is going to be in terms of x. In terms of x. Okay. Do you see big R?
Yes.
Do you see big R is right from the axis of rotation to the outside disk, which is right here? How do you find big R? Big R is equal to big minus small, which equals 4 minus -2. The top function is 4, the bottom function is -2. Little r is big minus small. Where is big? That's the function. And what is small?
-2.
It's -2.
Yeah.
Okay. Next thing, when we are integrating this, we know we need to figure out where these 2 points intersect. And since you have a calculator, you can find these intersection points, right? You could use the intersect function in order to figure out what that is. All right? You should have gotten that this point is 2.3 and this point is 0. So what is the volume of this solid?
So it'd be I in the signum function.
The integral of...
Integral of 0 to
2.3.
Pass the time. This is good.
And then R6.
Big R squared minus.
Big R squared
Minus.
little r
Minus R.
squared
Yeah.
dx. Because this is a calculator active problem, don't waste your time figuring this out by hand. Type it into your calculator and you end up getting what?
98.868.
98.868 units. Question, Diego.
When doing the integral function of the calculator, I'm having a tough time putting squaring the function, like in the parentheses right here. I don't know how to square like the whole thing. I feel like I have to boil it out.
Do you see there's the x squared button on your calculator towards the left? You can use that button to square anything. Okay. Is this good, guys?
Yeah.
All right. Let's go to part B. In part B, you're using the same region, but this time you're not rotating it, okay? This is your base. This is your base, and you need to figure out what a cross-section looks like. Well, first of all, it tells you it's perpendicular to the x-axis. Perpendicular to the x-axis tells you that your cross-section is vertical. And because it's vertical, you know you're going to have to do this in terms of x. In terms of x. Now, if this is some length s, you know that's going to be important in your cross section. Okay? You can figure out what S is now, or you can figure out what S is later. But since we already drew it here, let's figure that out. What is S equal to? Big minus small. Okay? Keep telling yourself that so you don't get confused. Big minus small. In our case, S is equal to top minus bottom. What is the top of S always going to be? It's always going to be 4. What is the bottom of S always going to be?
F of X.
It's always going to be F of X. Okay. So it's nice that we have what S is. Okay. Now, we go back to the problem, and we read this again, and it tells us that each cross-section is an isosceles right triangle with a leg in the base. Well, I know how to draw an isosceles right triangle. My cross-section is going to look like this, right? It's going to look like that. And because it tells you that the leg is in the base, is S going to be here, here, or here?
One of the legs.
It's going to be in one of the legs. Can you tell me what the area of this isosceles right triangle is? 1/2 S squared, which is equal to 1/2, what is S? 4 minus F of X, quantity squared. So volume is equal to the integral from what to what?
From 0 to 2.3.
From 0 to 2.3 of 1/2 F of X, quantity squared, dx. You have your calculators. You can type this in, calling this y1. And what did you get for your answer? Ooh. The correct answer is 3.574 units. Now, if you get part A and part B right in every free response question, and you get 66% of the multiple choice section correct, you'll pass the AP exam. You'll pass the AP exam. And these two questions, should feel easy, okay guys? These two questions are standard questions. They're very straightforward. The College Board will throw a curveball at you, but it'll only be in a small part, this part C. And even if you can't get part C, you should still be able to pass. Okay? You should still be able to pass. Now, if you want to get a 5, you should be analyzing all of the part C's in these free response questions. Okay? And I want you to know, okay, that I have prepared you to handle the part C's in the test. Okay? In the test. So when you see part C and it looks really complicated, the first thing you need to do is relax. Okay? Know that you can handle this problem, even though you've never seen anything like it before. Okay? And once you've relaxed, you realize that what should you do here when they tell you the vertical line x equals k divides R into 2 regions with equal area. What might help you here, Colin?
Maybe drawing a vertical line.
Drawing a picture and seeing what this vertical line looks like, right? Drawing this picture and seeing what this vertical line looks like. Well, if I know this vertical line is x, it's going to be somewhere right here. Okay? If I split this region right here, do you see that the left side is clearly smaller than the right side?
Yeah.
Do you see if I split the region right here, the left side is clearly larger than the right side? So at some point, it has to be equal. And we should be able to set up an integral expression that will figure that out. So let's go say that k is somewhere right here. Okay? We don't need to know exactly where it is, but let's go say that that was k. And r sub 1 was equal to r sub 2. Okay? What is the equation for R sub 1? What is the equation for R sub 1, Colin?
An integral from 0 to k of over that quarter, which is 4 minus f of x, 1/2 minus f of x squared.
F of x?
Squared.
Not quite. You're not looking for a volume anymore. You're looking for area. And area is just top minus bottom, right? So top minus bottom dx. That is R sub 1. This is equal to R sub 2. What is R sub 2? What is that, Aiden?
The integral of k to 2.3,
K to 2.3,
4 minus f of x dx.
4 minus f of x dx. So when you calm down and relax, you see that this isn't actually so bad. That wasn't so bad, right?
No.
Okay? You can handle these problems. Diego, question?
In our final answer on the AP test, we can just write f of x instead of writing the entire equation.
Yes. Notice in this problem, it tells you at the beginning that f of x is this thing. So f of x will be defined that way for the entire question. You do not need to write it out. Now, if you made up a variable, like u, if you substitute in u equals something, you have to back sub, because that wasn't given. But in this problem, f of x is given, so you can use it. Okay. Aiden, question?
Would the AP test ever ask you to solve something like
They might, and that can be done with a calculator.
that? Okay.
Okay, if they needed you to, that could be done with a calculator.
How would you?
Now, they won't ask you to solve this one, because figuring out what k is might be a little bit difficult to
Okay,
set it up.
yeah.
But in general, you could solve it if you needed
Okay.
to. Okay. Yes.
How many FRQ questions are there?
There are, I think, 5 non-calculator and 7 calculator questions. I'm not exactly sure. I'll look into that and get back to you.
How long is the test?
The test, I think, is about 4 hours.
Oh.
It's an hour multiple choice calculator, an hour multiple choice non-calculator, an hour free response calculator, an hour free response no calculator.
Do we get a break between?
What about
Yeah.
these?
Okay.
Guys, you're getting off topic. You're getting off topic. I will handle the AP test when we get there, okay? Know that these questions are specifically in regards to chapter 6. So, it is going to be beneficial to you to prepare not only for the AP test, but for your upcoming test to do the other 2 questions. And I will provide you a solutions manual of a solutions key at our next class. Does that sound good? Okay.